Well, when we're talking about the Boston bombers, they're from Russia. The 9/11 hijackers, they're from Egypt. They're from Saudi Arabia. The man who killed Vincent Van Gogh's grandson, Theo Van Gogh, was from Morocco. All of these people from all of these different countries, what is the one thing that they have in common? It's their religion. It's the religion that is telling them that they need to do this, that they're being brainwashed from children, being told this is the right thing to do. This is the good thing to do. If you want to go to heaven, you have to be a jihadi. Then you're going to reach the highest level of heaven, and everybody will celebrate you. In Palestine, when a jihadi kills an Israeli, they pay that person's family a monthly stipend just to say thank you. Thank you for being a jihadi. They go around and they have parties and they give out candy and they celebrate. I don't know if you were in a Muslim majority country after 9/11, but the celebrations were through the roof everywhere. It was like, you know, a big, huge party. Everybody felt so happy and so empowered that Islam is winning, that Allah is winning, Allah is behind us. You know, it's the same reason why when ISIS rose up in Iraq and Syria, all of a sudden you saw people from Germany, from France, from the UK, from Canada, from America, from all of these free Western countries where these kids were going to university and they came from middle-class homes. They weren't, you know, desperate kids on the street. And they all burned their passports and they joined ISIS. What did they do that for? These kids don't all have terrorist tendencies. These kids aren't all psychopaths. But these kids were all raised with this ideology that tells them this is how to be a good person. To die fi sabilillah, to die for Allah. That is how you be a good Muslim, and that is how you reach the highest levels of heaven. Yeah. But because of the way that Islam is structured, well, it's not structured. It's kind of like, it's like the BLM movement or like Antifa. It doesn't have a leader. You know, people think, oh, we're going to kill bin Laden and then everything's going to be okay. Yeah. No. There's hundreds, if not thousands of bin Ladens out there. It doesn't matter if you kill the leader of al-Qaida or the leader of ISIS. That's not going to stop the terrorists. That's not going to stop Islamic terrorism because it's not structured in that way. It's not structured like a, I don't know, a Mexican drug lord or something. No, it's not like that. It's an ideology that is in all people's heads that are all over the world, and they are raising their kids with that ideology every single day. So the only way to counter it is to counter the ideology. The reason why they're reacting so strongly over these cartoons in France is because they have all been raised to get angry and to defend their prophet. That's what it's all about. They're not defending each other as other Muslims. They are defending themselves and their own, hoping that they can look good in Allah's eyes. You know, like, oh, look, Allah, I wrote a bunch of Facebook messages against Macron. So, you know, please let me into heaven. If you say that you're a feminist, then why are you, like Swedish politicians, when they go to Iran, why do they put a hijab on their head? Why aren't they standing up and saying, nope, we're feminists and we disagree with this, and this is modesty culture and this is rape culture, and, you know, but no, they won't stand up. So is it because of diplomatic relations? Is it because of money? Is it because of fear? Is it, you know, I don't know what the reason is. There could be many different reasons why. It's very common that whenever you try to open your mouth to speak up against the atrocities happening under Islam, the atrocities that are occurring, you get called Islamophobic. And the result of that is that, you know, you could have girls like in the UK, thousands and thousands of girls were raped in rape gangs for years and years. Nobody wanted to speak up against it because if you're a journalist, you would lose your job. If you're a politician, you would lose your job. Jihadis will keep you from criticizing Islam by cutting off your head, right? Yeah. Islamists will stop you from criticizing Islam by calling you an Islamophobe. It's the exact same thing. They both have the exact same goal. They just have two different ways of getting there. I can only speak about myself. I don't know, like, my situation was very unique. So I was forced into a marriage with a member of al-Qaida. So I was married to a jihadi. I wore niqab. I covered every inch of my body in black, even wore the gloves and the thick socks. And I had paper taped up my windows so that nobody could see in the house. And I didn't get sunshine, and I was depressed, and I was being beaten by him. And I lived the extreme of Islam. And when you feel that boot on your head for as long as I did, you eventually reach a point where you're like, I don't fucking care. I don't. I'm done. I don't care anymore. I'm finished. I've been too scared for too long, and now I have to find my courage. I have to find my voice. Initially, it was for my daughter, to protect her. And, you know, for 15 years, I was quiet. I didn't do any activism. I didn't write my book. I didn't have a Twitter account. I didn't do anything. But eventually, you have enough. I think everybody will be able to relate to that feeling. Like somebody who I spoke to, a friend of mine, was saying that he was in the closet, like he was gay, but he never wanted to admit that he was gay. He was so not wanting to admit that he was gay that he was actually homophobic, which is pretty common. But he eventually reached a point that he just had had enough. He'd had enough of the self-hate. He'd had enough of the lies. He'd had enough of the double life that he just didn't fucking care anymore. He's like, if I lose my friends, I lose my friends. If I lose my family, I lose my family. I lose my job, I lose my job. I'm done. I don't care. And so that's really what happened with me. Is sure, fear will keep people in line for a certain amount of time, but eventually they will have enough. And again, I'm going to refer to Iran as a perfect example of that. Yeah. For 40 years, they stayed under the rule of Sharia. And now look what's happening. They've had enough. Finally, the Iranian people have had enough. Fear can only control people for so long. And then eventually they're going to get sick of it and they're not going to care. In my organization, Free Hearts, Free Minds, we support ex-Muslims living in Muslim majority countries. I'm constantly hearing from women in Saudi Arabia telling me that they're going to try and escape, and they say, I don't care if I die. And they really don't care. They say, if I die, it's better than this life I'm living now. It's worth a risk. I'm not going to live this life anymore. I'm done. And I understand where they're coming from. You know, I'm grateful that I was in Canada, so I didn't have to go through anything compared to what they have to go through. But I understand that feeling of just being scared for so long that you've just had enough. This is what needs to happen. There needs to be a pushback. Nobody has pushed back, right? We've just let this train keep going and going and going and going. Turkey has, you know, enough now. Iran, enough now. Pakistan, enough. All of you, enough. And it's time for there to be some pushback against all of the extremism that they are encouraging and all of the terrorism that they are supporting. So, you know, I'm happy to see this. I loved seeing the projections of the Charlie Hebdo cartoons all over the buildings in France.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because to me, I feel like that's the best response. You are showing that you are strong in your values without violence, which is exactly, you know, what makes me proud of the French people. Like, that's exactly how you should be responding to that. Say, nope, this is our country. These are our values, and we will stand firm and we will stand loud, but we are not going to be violent like you.